إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا يرضاه. أما بعد. With Allah's assistance, last week we began المقدمة الآجرومية. We covered the first lesson. We're going to continue today with the second lesson, inshallah. But before we do so, in front of me, this is the PDF from last lesson. I just wanted to make you aware of some of the corrections, some of the typos that were included in the PDF from last lesson, which have now been corrected, alhamdulillah. But I will just mention them quickly. So in the previous PDF, this part here did not have alif lam. It was مقدمة الآجرومية. I've edited it. Now it has المقدمة الآجرومية. The second mistake was in one of the examples that I wrote here. It did not have the ba. It just said مررت هؤلاء. So it should be مررت بهؤلاء. And then the third mistake was فرض كفاية. It said فرض كفاية. It should be مضاف مضاف إليه. فرض كفاية. These three mistakes, after looking over the PDF once more, I discovered these mistakes. I've corrected these mistakes in the PDF now. It's been updated. If you go back to lesson 1, the same link that you downloaded that PDF, you go to the Madrasatuna channel and download this one where it has these three corrections, inshallah. طيب. The other thing also we need to go over is the questions. So we left last lesson with 5 questions that we said we have to go over and answer by leaving comments in the comment section. So I've chosen 5 samples from some of the answers that were left behind so that we can learn and benefit from them. So this is the first sample. The first question was, what is the title of this book? The answer should have been Al-Muqaddimah Al-Ājurrūmiyyah. So there's no alif after the meme, and we should include alif lam. Al-Muqaddimah Al-Ājurrūmiyyah. We have a madda on the alif, not a hamza. Ajrumiyyah. The second question, who is the author of the book? The author's kunya is Abu Abdullah. Abdullah is not his name. So Abu Abdullah, Muḥammad ibn Dāwūd. So the spelling of Dāwūd, you need to check that, inshallah. What is the subject matter? Naḥu, labas. How many fundamental lessons does it comprise? 9. And what topics are discussed in the first fundamental lesson? It is al-kalam wa aqsamuhu. And just as an advice, we need to remember that we learn more from our mistakes than we learn from getting things correct. As a teacher, you can understand perhaps this thing needed more explanation. Maybe this is why the student got it wrong. Maybe it was my lack of clarity in explaining something. And other students also benefit from the clarification given to one student for their mistakes. So this is why I'm giving different samples. Don't be put off if I criticize you and I say this is wrong, this is wrong. Continue answering in the comment section so we can benefit, so you can benefit. Barakallah fikum. This is the second sample. Here the student, may Allah reward them, has answered all the questions correctly, and they've even gone a step further by giving like titles for each of the answers. So you have Unwan al-Kitab, al-Muallif. May Allah reward them. So this is a good sample for how the answers should be. I initially said we'll choose 5 samples, but I think we'll suffice with 3, inshallah. This is sufficient. So here in this sample, the student has decided to answer in English, which we said you can, although it's better to type it in Arabic. This is a good sample of how you should have answered if you was to write it in English. I would have preferred the first answer to have alif lam, al-Muqaddimah Al-Ājurrūmiyyah, but may Allah reward them. Barakallah fikum. Continue to answer the questions, inshallah. Continue to answer the questions. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We begin today's lesson, الدرس الثاني من المقدمة الآجرومية, where we're going to speak about الكلام وأقسامه, speech and its categories. هذا هو الدرس الأول في كل كتاب نحوي لأن الكلام هو موضوع النحو. This is the first lesson in every book of Nahu, every grammar book. Why? Because الكلام هو موضوع النحو. Because speech is the subject matter of النحو. This is what is going to be discussed. So we need to understand what kalam is. Hence why they begin with this lesson. And as we mentioned, in the previous lesson that this book is broken down into 9 lessons. The first of these 9 being Al-Kalam wa Aqsamuhu. Not just this book, but books in grammar generally will cover those 9 fundamental lessons. So those 9 fundamental lessons serve as a contents page. If any time you get lost, refer back to those 9 lessons to understand where we are. So the aim of this lesson is to cover the first of those 9 lessons. We're going to complete the first of those 9 lessons, Al-Kalam wa Aqsamuhu. And we're going to do so by covering 3 points. Firstly, تعريف الكلام لغة واصطلاحا. We're going to define what is kalam linguistically and technically according to the grammarians, أهل النحو, النحويين. Secondly, أقسام الكلام, the categories of kalam. And thirdly, علامات كل قسم من أقسام الكلام, the distinctive signs for each one of these categories. Okay, let's begin. Number 1, تعريف الكلام لغة واصطلاحا, definition of kalam linguistically and technically. الكلام لغة, the definition of kalam linguistically, أي عند أهل اللغة, that's what لغة means, the definition of a word according to the people of the language. So for this definition you would go to dictionaries. So we've gone to مقاييس اللغة by Ibn Faris. مقاييس اللغة by Ibn Faris. If you go there, you find that the definition of kalam is given as نطق مفهم. نطق مفهم. نطق is an utterance. An utterance. Mufhim is understandable, something which is meaningful. So a meaningful utterance. That's what kalam means according to the scholars of the Arabic language. نطق مفهم. Okay, اصطلاحا, the technical definition, A عند النحويين. This is the definition given by the scholars of this particular science. Their own definition of kalam. الكلام هو اللفظ المركب المفيد بالوضع. This is the definition of al-kalam according to the Nahwiyin. Before we continue, you will notice now that I'm using different colors. There's black for the main text, there's blue, and there's red. There's also going to be green and purple. So this color coding is to highlight certain statements and certain parts of the explanation so that you understand where to focus on. So red signifies the matn. This is Ibn Ājurrūm's speech. This is the part that we have to memorize. And at the end of this lesson, you're going to find a recording of all of the matn that we have covered. The chunk that we have covered from the matn in this lesson is going to be recorded, and the link is also going to be in the video description. Listen to that in order to help you memorize the matn. So this is the focus. This is what we have to memorize. Al-kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu al-mufidu bil-wad'. Don't worry about it right now. We're going to explain and you're going to understand what this means. This is the definition of al-kalam according to the Nahwiyin. This you have to memorize. And then the parts that are in blue in terms of priority after the matn, this is top priority. This is second priority. This is important definitions. Important definitions are in blue. And then in green, dark green, is going to be extra, you could say third in the priority order, benefits, points of cautions that you have to pay attention to. Okay, and then fourth is black. Everything else is in black. So we have red, you have to concentrate, you have to memorize. Blue, you should memorize. I highly advise you to memorize it. Thirdly is green. You just need to pay attention and take note of those points of caution and benefits, and everything else is going to be in black. Okay, so we're going to explain this inshallah. This is point number 1, the definition of al-kalam according to the people of Nahu. So what is kalam? Al-kalamu huwa, it is al-lafdhu al-murakkab al-mufid bil-wad'. So we've mentioned 4 conditions, 4 points. فالكلام ما توفر فيه 4 شروط. Therefore, kalam is that which fulfills 4 conditions. If it fulfills these 4 conditions, lafz, murakkab, mufid, bil-wad', then we can say this is kalam according to the grammarians. So what is a lafz? So they say in speech is a lafz. What is lafz? A lafz الصوت المشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية. A lafz, يعني to translate, is an utterance. An utterance. What is an utterance? It's صوت. It's a sound. المشتمل, which consists على بعض الحروف الهجائية consists of some of the Arabic alphabetical letters. The Arabic alphabet is known as حروف الهجائية. Alif, ba, ta, tha, all the way to ya. 29 letters in total. Examples: Zayd. Zayd is a lafz. Why? Because when I utter it, Zayd is a sound. And it consists of Zai, Ya, Dal, which are from the huruf al-hijaiyah. Fatimah, sound consisting of letters. Bayt, sound consisting of some of the huruf al-hijaiyah. Hadha, Inna, Dhahaba. Those are examples of alfadh. Alfadh, plural of lafz. Okay. This condition, why did they mention this condition? They mentioned this condition because in order for you to have a definition, a good definition must include that which is being defined and exclude anything which is not being defined. So you'll find that definitions, they consist of quyud, the conditions or restrictions or limitations. They have these limitations so that that which is defined, that which is defined is included within this condition. And these quyud remove anything else which is not being defined. This is the criterion for a good definition. It includes that which is defined and excludes that which does not fall under that definition. So lafz, what is excluded when we say lafz? خرج بهذا الشرط. When we say lafz, this excludes two things. It excludes two things. The first thing that's excluded in this definition is كل ما ليس صوتا. Everything that does not have a sound is excluded when we say lafz, because we're including everything which has a sound. So anything which does not have a sound is excluded, even if it's meaningful, such as ishara, gestures, wal kitaba, writing, wal rasm, drawing. So if I draw something, it has meaning, right? That's a house, that's a bicycle. I give it to someone, he understands that this is a bike, this is a house. Sometimes you draw when you go to different countries and you can't express, you don't know their language, you can't explain to them what you want, you draw. So this is a form of communication. Likewise, writing, you write books, you write stories, whatever language, in whatever field it is. And likewise, hand gestures, head gestures. These are ways of communication. But because they don't consist of sound, they are not considered to be lafz. So from this, we can exclude this being kalam. It doesn't fall under kalam because it doesn't fulfill the first condition. Likewise, what's excluded also is kullu sawtin la yashtamilu ala ba'd al-huruf. There are some sounds which we hear, but these sounds, they don't consist of letters from the Arabic alphabet. So this is also excluded because we said it has to be a sound which consists of some of the huruf al-hijaiyah. So this excludes sounds which do not consist of huruf al-hijaiyah, such as kasawt al-tabl, the beating of drums. This is a sound, but it doesn't consist of huruf al-hijaiyah, so it's not lafz. Therefore, it doesn't come under kalam. This is not considered to be kalam. وَبُكَاءُ الصَّبِي, the crying of an infant, وَنِبَاحْ الْكَلْبِ, and the barking of a dog. These are sounds which do not consist of huruf al-hijaiyah, hence they are excluded in this definition. And if they are excluded from this condition, they are not included under al-kalam. So this is not kalam. Okay, so we understand what lafz is. Lafz is an utterance that consists of some of the huruf al-hijaiyah, sound that consists of some of the huruf al-hijaiyah. So this is the blue part. Remember, the blue part is important definitions. This is a definition of a lafz. Lafz, the red part, is the matn, speech of the matin, the muallif ibn Ājurrūm, which has to be memorized. If you can memorize this one, that will be very good. It will help you understand. Okay, the second condition that he said with regards to al-kalam is that it has to be murakkab. So this lafz has to be murakkab. It has to be murakkab. What is murakkab? Murakkab ما تألف من كلمتين فأكثر لفظا أو تقديرا. Murakkab is a construction, a composition. It must be this sound which consists of letters from the huruf al-hijaiyah must be murakkab. It must be from كلمتين فأكثر, composed of two or more words, لفظا أو تقديرا, explicitly or implicitly. And we have two or more words, lafzan, which you're uttering, or implicitly, and it's understood that there are more than two words. For example, قام زيد. This fulfills the condition of being lafz and also murakkab. Why? Because there's two words. قام زيد. فاطمة في البيت. Here there's three words. So we said two or more. لفظا. The two words here are being pronounced, are being uttered explicitly, and the three words here are being uttered explicitly. Okay, look at this one now. اذهب. This is a command form. It means go. There is one word which is being uttered, and then there's a second word which is not being uttered, and that is اذهب أنت, because you're speaking to the person. You go. اذهب أنت. اذهب أنت. So we have تقديرا. It has to be composed of two words, explicitly or implicitly. One word is explicit, اذهب, and the second is implicit, which is understood. When you're commanding a male, you use the fi'l amr, اذهب, اخرج, ادخل, and so on. Anta is implied. Anta is implied within this command form, even though it's not uttered. So that's what is intended by taqdeeran. Another example, if someone was to say to you, Masmuk, what's your name? And then you just said your name, Muḥammad, or Fatima, or Zayd. That's one word. But that one word is murakkab. That one word is murakkab. How is it composed? How is it murakkab? How is it made up of more than one word? Because the second is understood. It's as though you're saying at-taqdeer, ismi Muhammad. Ismi is implied, it's understood. My name is Muhammad. Even though you've just said Muhammad in answer to a question, if you add it to the question or to the context, it's understood that you're saying, my name is Muhammad. So ismi Muhammad, this is murakkab. This part here is muqaddar, and this part here is lafz. You've uttered it explicitly. This is implicitly, it's implied, it's understood. Okay, so that's what murakkab means. In order for it to be kalam, you have to fulfill this condition alongside the first condition. So these are utterances made up of letters from the Arabic alphabet. And it's murakkab because it consists of two or more words. These two or more words can either be explicitly uttered or implicitly understood, implied. Okay, what's excluded when we say murakkab? It should be obvious. خرج بهذا الشرط المفرد. This excludes one words. الكلمة الواحدة. One word such as Zayd, ذهب, في. These are words which contain meaning. However, it's not called kalam. It's not called kalam because it doesn't fulfill this condition of al-murakkab, because it's one word, not two or more. The third condition for kalam to be kalam is that it has to be mufid. It has to be meaningful. Al-mufid, meaningful. What does mufid mean? ما يعطي فائدة كاملة يحسن السكوت عليها. It conveys a complete meaning upon which one can be silent on. You don't need to add anything else. يحسن السكوت عليه. It's appropriate for you after you've uttered this statement or sentence or expression for you to stop. And the one who's listening understands what you said. There's no need for you to add anything else. يحسن السكوت عليها. You can stop at it. It's suitable for you to stop. If it's not suitable for you to stop there, or the person is still waiting for more, it means that it's not meaningful. It means that it's not meaningful. So example, أنا Muslim. I am Muslim. This is lafz because it's an utterance consisting of letters. It's murakkab. It's made up of two words. It's mufid. It's mufid in that it gives meaning. I can put a full stop here and stop. أنا Muslim. I am Muslim. Allahu fis sama. Allah is above the heavens. Allah is above the heavens is lafz. Why? Because it's sound consisting of letters. It's murakkab, consists of three words. And it's mufid, meaningful. I can put a full stop there. And it gives a full meaning. Layla ghattat wajhaha. Layla covered her face. Three words. Lafz, murakkab, mufid. Hopefully you're understanding now what we're doing. We're defining kalam by going through the conditions that the author has mentioned one by one. When we say mufid, what does this exclude? خرج بهذا الشرط المركب غير المفيد. This condition excludes that which is murakkab, that which consists of two or more words put together, where it doesn't give you a meaningful meaning. It doesn't give you meaning. There's still more to be said for the meaning to be complete. Such as قلم محمد مضاف مضاف إليه. مضاف مضاف إليه does not give you meaning. You have to add something else to it for the meaning to be complete. Muhammad's pen. And I'm still waiting. What about it? What about it? You can't stop there. It's not appropriate for you to stop there. It doesn't have full meaning. So that's what is excluded when we say mufid. إن جاء أبي, for example. If my father comes. Okay, yes, and then what happens if your father comes? It doesn't give you complete meaning. Another example, دخل الذي, the one such and such entered. دخل الذي, who's دخل الذي يعني? It's not appropriate to stop here. So it is lafz, it's a sound consisting of letters. It is murakkab, this one's made up of 2, this one's made up of 3, this one's made up of 2, but it's not mufid. Hence, this does not fulfill the condition of being mufid, so it's not kalam. So now we understand it has to be lafz, it has to be murakkab, it has to be mufid, and then fourth and final condition is that bil wada'. What's wada'? The meaning of al-wada' is أن تكون الألفاظ بالوضع العربي. أن تكون الألفاظ بالوضع العربي. These words that are used, the words that are used, which are lafz, murakkab, mufid, they have to be in the Arabic language basically. They must be words which follow the structure and usage of the Arabic language. It has to be in Arabic. كالأمثلة السابقة, having given further examples, sufficing with the previous examples. All the previous examples were Arabic words. طيب, so when we say بالوضع, what does this exclude? خرج بهذا الشرط كلام العجم. This condition excludes non-Arabic speech expressions, such as when one says, I am really enjoying this class. Even though this expression, this statement, it makes sense in the English language, according to the definition of al-kalam, with respect to the nahwiyin, this is not considered to be kalam. So we're not going to be studying this in nahu. Why? Because this is non-Arabic. It doesn't fulfill the fourth condition, so it's not kalam. We're not going to be looking at non-Arabic speech in this book or in Arabic grammar, because it's not in the Arabic usage, or it's not in Arabic. However, we need to mention a point of caution, tanbih. When we say you can't use non-Arabic word, this does not include words which have been Arabized. There are some words which have been Arabized and introduced into the Arabic language, even though they are originally non-Arabic words, because they are new, they never existed before. So the scholars of the Arabic language had to incorporate these words into the Arabic language by Arabizing them. Okay, so even though you're using non-Arabic words, because they've been Arabized, they still fulfill this condition of al-wada'. So when we say non-Arabic, المراد هنا هو استعمال كلمة أعجمية مع وجود كلمة عربية تؤدي نفس المعنى. So if you're using non-Arabic words where you have an Arabic equivalent in the Arabic language which conveys the same meaning, that's when is a problem. That's what we mean by you're not fulfilling the conditions. So this فخرج بهذا, this excludes الأسماء المعربة, Arabized words. Arabized words are those words which are non-Arabic, but because in the Arabic language there's no equivalent meaning, no word that conveys the same meaning, we have to Arabize these words, such as internet. Internet is something which came later on. It's a contemporary thing. Hence, we've Arabized this word, internet. We've Arabized it, and it fulfills the condition of al-wada' in this case. Likewise, isfalt, which is asphalt, similar to tarmac. Album, album. Automatiki is automatic. So these type of words and other than them, which have been Arabized, they are still considered to be Arabic. Okay, فائدة, a benefit. أهل اللغة لهم طريقتان في إضافة كلمات جديدة إلى اللغة. The scholars of the Arabic language, they have two primary methods of incorporating new words into the Arabic language. Two ways of incorporating new words. The first one, which is the asl, this is the default, طريقة الاشتقاق, where they يبحثون عن كلمة عربية تناسب المعنى المراد. They search in the Arabic language and look for words which convey that meaning that they want to incorporate, and they use that word through this طريقة of al-ishtiqaq, deriving new meanings from a existing word which carries the same meaning. An example of this is aeroplane. Aeroplane is something new that was invented, an invention that's come later on. The Arabs of old never knew what aeroplane was, so they never had a word for it. However, if we look into the Arabic language, we have this meaning conveyed in words such as طار يطير, this verb. طار يطير is to fly. So from طار يطير, they've derived طائرة. So we have a word that we can use to replace aeroplane. So we don't need to say aeroplane, we can say طائرة. سافرت إلى مكة بالطائرة. Another example of الاشتقاق is الشبكة الدولية or الشبكة العنكبوتية, referring to the World Wide Web or Internet. Shabaka refers to a net, and Ankabutiya is a web, or more specifically a spider web. So these words have been derived to convey this meaning that has been incorporated into Arabic language. This is one way, and this is the way that should be used. You should try and keep it Arabic as much as you can. But if you can't do that, then they have this طريقة التعريب. What's طريقة التعريب? إن لم يمكن الطريقة الأولى أو استصعبناها. If we are not able to apply this first method, or we find it difficult to apply, ننقل الكلمة الأعجمية. We transfer the non-Arabic word إلى العربية بنفس اللفظ. We transfer it into the Arabic language using that same word, the same word, مع تغيير يسير يناسب العربية, while making slight changes suited to the Arabic language. For example, these non-Arabic names. Originally it's David. When we Arabize this word, we say Dāwūd. Joseph, Yusuf. Abraham, Ibrahim. The word Pepsi. Because the Arabic language does not have P's, we have to change it into B's. When we say Bibsi, Bibsi. Burja Kinj. Burger King, we say Burja Kinj. So these type of words, you can't ishtiqaq. You can't apply ishtiqaq to it. So you have to Arabize the word, changing it slightly. So P's don't exist, so we change it into Ba. Okay, so that's the 4 conditions. Now we have a مثال للكلام المستوفي للشروط. This is an example of a statement that fulfills all the conditions, the 4 conditions. مكة قبلة المسلمين. Makkah is the qibla, the direction of prayer of the Muslims. Okay, so is this speech? Let's apply the 4 conditions and see if this is considered to be kalam according to the scholars of النحو. It says here, هذا المثال, this example, يعد كلاما, is considered to be kalam according to the nahwiyin. Why? لأنه لفظ, because it is lafz. How is it lafz? صوت مشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية. It's an utterance consisting of letters from the Arabic alphabet. Okay, we can take that one. It's murakkab. It consists of 2 or more words. Okay, it's mufid. Is it mufid? Is it meaningful? When I say Makkatu qiblatul muslimin, can I put a full stop? Are we waiting for something to complete the meaning? No, you can put a full stop there. بالوضع العربي, is it in the Arabic language? Makkah qiblatul muslimin? Yes. So it fulfills the 4 conditions, hence this is considered to be kalam. Alhamdulillah. Hopefully this is understood. This is defining kalam. This is the first objective of today's lesson, defining kalam. Hopefully we've defined kalam. Okay, questions. Question 1, provide 2 examples that fulfill all the above mentioned conditions and 3 examples that do not fulfill the conditions. So question 1, you need to give 2 sentences that are meaningful, and then 3 sentences or 3 examples which are not meaningful. Okay, the second question, your friend sends you a text message saying, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. كيف حالك اليوم? He sends you a WhatsApp message or an email stating this. Okay, is this considered speech according to the earlier definition, and why? Is it considered to be speech? Explain why. It's not. Explain why. So that's the first section. Let's move on to the second section. أقسام الكلام, types of speech. وأقسامه ثلاثة, اسم وفعل وحرف جاء لمعنى. And its types are 3, اسم, فعل, and حرف, which comes for a meaning. This is the matn. Okay, let's explain this matn. أقسامه, its types. What's the ضمير, this pronoun going back to? A, أقسام الكلام, the types of kalam. Why? Because previously he said al-kalamu huwa al-lafdh al-muraghab wa aqsamuhu, and its types or its categories are such and such. So who is going back to what was previously mentioned, which was kalam, types, categories of speech. Okay, here you will find in some of the books that they go to explain that this aqsam, these examples or these categories are actually categories of words. Types of words in the Arabic language are 3, ismun, fi'lun, wa harfun. So some of them you might find them criticizing Ibn Ājurrūm for saying aqsamuhu, types of kalam. It should be types of kalima rather than types of kalam. However, both are correct. سواء قلنا أقسام الكلمة, whether we say أقسام الكلمة, that these are categories of a word, there's 3 types of words, whether we say this or أقسام الكلام, types of speech, المراد واحد, the end result, the meaning is one. Why? فكما أن الكلمة اسم وفعل وحرف, just as the kalima, the word, is either اسم فعل أو حرف, فالكلام أيضا يتكون من اسم وفعل وحرف. Likewise, speech is composed of ism, fi'l, and harf. When you're speaking, you're going to be using ism, you're going to be using a fi'l, you're going to be using a harf. وهذا من التعبير بالكل عن الجزء. And this is an example of referring to the whole by mentioning only a part. You're referring to the whole thing, which is speech, by referring parts of it. And this is similar to the saying of Allah. There's many examples of this. Allah says, يَجْعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. They place their fingers in their ears. Do they place their whole fingers into their ears? Do your fingers go into your ears? Or do they place the tips of their fingers into their ears? So أصابعهم is actually referring to أناملهم, the tips of their fingers, not the whole fingers. So in the same way, we're speaking about the whole, which is kalam, speech, and we're referring to it by using parts of it, which is the parts of speech, al-kalimat, ism, fi'l, harf. So the main point of this paragraph here is to explain that whether you say أقسام الكلمة ثلاثة or أقسام الكلام ثلاثة, both are correct, because there are some who criticize the author and say أقسام الكلام is not right, it's incorrect. Or they have a point when they say أقسام الكلام is not suitable in this book. Rather, you should say to the students, because they're beginners, أقسام الكلمة, the types of words in the Arabic language are اسم فعل وحرف, not the types of speech. على كل حال, if you haven't understood this, لا بأس inshallah. If you've understood it, alhamdulillah. So in English, they refer to it as parts of speech. I believe is eight parts of speech. So in Arabic, we have 3. اسم فعل وحرف, which we should all be aware of. Okay. الدليل على انحصارها في هذه الثلاثة التتبع والاستقراء. What's the evidence that the parts of speech are limited to these 3? Here we've mentioned the proof for speech being limited to these 3 categories is التتبع والاستقراء. التتبع والاستقراء is careful observation and exhaustive analysis of the Arabic language. The scholars, they've looked at all of that which has been recorded, and they've concluded that all of the Arabic words must fall into one of these 3 categories. There is no 4th category. So through at-tatabbu wal-istiqra, this is the evidence which indicates that the Arabic language is limited to these 3 parts, the categories of speech. طيب. Now, al-kalimatu thalathatu aqsam. So we've learned that al-kalimatu, the words, are 3 types. اسم فعل وحرف جار معنى. What is اسم? اسم كلمة تدل على معنى في نفسها ولا تقترن بزمن. An اسم is a noun that conveys a meaning, but it has no relationship to time. اسم conveys a meaning. رجل, when we say رجل, is there a meaning that's conveyed there? Yes, a man, a human being, male in gender. بيت, a house. قلم, a pen. Muḥammadun, a man who's named Muḥammad. قط is an animal, cat. Makkah is a place, the most noble of places on earth. So all of these words are nouns because they indicate a meaning. They indicate a meaning في نفسها, on their own. We don't need to add words next to it, to the left of it, to the right of it, to indicate that this is referring to a man, this is referring to a place, a pen, a human called Muhammad, an animal, a place. They indicate those meanings on their own. في نفسها. تدل على معنى في نفسها, on their own, independently. ولا تقترن بزمن, and they have no association to time. This Mecca, is it in the past, is it in the present, is it in the future? No relationship to time. Time here, when we say has no association to time, we're referring to tenses. And in the Arabic language, just like in the English language, the tenses are 3. Al-azminatu thalatha. Al-madi, past tense. Al-hal, present tense. Al-mustaqbal, future tense. So this is the definition of an ism. كلمة تدل على معنى في نفسها ولا تقترن بزمن. A word which indicates a meaning on its own without any association to time. Secondly, fi'l. فعل also كلمة تدل على معنى, it indicates a meaning. في نفسها, on its own, independently. دخل indicates the meaning of entering. يدخل, أدخل, all of them referring to entering. خرج, يخرج, يخرج, exiting. أكل, يأكل, كل, the action of eating. It indicates these actions. في نفسها, on their own. It indicates it independently without having to add any other words or putting it into a sentence. وتقترن بزمن. But the difference between ism and fi'l is that fi'l, it indicates a meaning on its own, but it has an association to time. It has a connection to time. It will either refer to the past, the present, or the future. So if you look at these examples, دخل, he entered. When? In the past. يدخل, he's entering. When? Now. udkhul, enter, I'm telling you to do it. When are you going to do it? After I've spoken to you. So it's mustaqbal. Okay, that's fi'l. What's the definition of harf? جاء لمعنى. So جاء لمعنى, we have to now explain جاء لمعنى. What does جاء لمعنى mean before we explain what harf is? الحرف نوعان. Harf is two types. حرف مبنى وحرف معنى. حرف مبنى الحروف الهجائية. They refer to the Arabic alphabet. These are the letters that are used to construct words. لا معنى لها. They have no meaning. ألف, با, تا. What's the meaning of ألف? What's the meaning of ba? These are individual letters which are used in constructing words. مبنى. That's why they call حرف مبنى. Structural letters. لا معنى لها. They have no meaning while they remain as structural letters. وإنما تتركب منها الكلمات. They are used to construct words. وهذا النوع لا يدرس في علم النحو. And this type, مبنى, is not studied in نحو. So the second type, حرف معنى. These are the ones that have meaning, meaningful particles. وهذا هو المقصود هنا, and this is what is intended here when we say حرف جاء لمعنى. Why did he say جاء لمعنى? To exclude حرف مبنى and to tell you that we're only referring to this type. Okay, so what does it mean? حرف when we're speaking about حرف in نحو, كلمة تدل على معنى. So it's a kalima which indicates a meaning. What's mutual in the definition of all these three things is that they indicate a meaning. They all indicate a meaning. However, here, في غيرها, it indicates a meaning only when connected to other words. The meaning of the huruf, they only come out and they appear when they are connected to other words, either to the ism, either to the fi'l, or both. That's when the meaning comes out. That's when you know if this particular harf has this meaning or this meaning or this meaning. Because some of the huruf, they have different meanings. And the meaning comes out in the context. It comes out in the context. Like qad can have different meanings. If it comes before fi'l madi, it has this meaning. If it comes before fi'l mudari, it has this meaning. So those meanings are only understood and they come out and conveyed when they are connected to other words. So this is different and unique to the other two in that the meaning is not something which is understood independently. It has to be connected to other words. Whereas the other two, their meanings are understood independently. And the difference between these two is in terms of tense. This has no connection to tense. This is connected to tense. طيب. Examples of حروف هل, which is an interrogative particle. في, لم, لن, قد, سوف. طيب. Questions. Give 3 examples of each type. Give 3 examples of harf, 3 examples of fi'l, 3 examples of ism. Question 4. Classify each word in these 2 sentences. We have 2 sentences. محمد صلى في المسجد. أنا مريضة وهذا مريض. 1 sentence, 2nd sentence. Classify each word in these 2 sentences. Classify as in state. Is it ism? Is it fi'l? Is it harf? So you write this word. Is it ism fi'l harf? This word. Is it ism fi'l harf? Identifying and classifying these words. That's the second part. We move on to the third part now, which is علامات كل قسم من أقسام الكلام. After identifying that the words in the Arabic language are 3 types, ism fi'l harf, now we need to know the signs, the distinguishing signs for each one. What's the distinguishing signs for ism? What's the distinguishing signs for fi'l? What's the distinguishing signs for harf? كل قسم من هذه الأقسام له علامات. Each one of the 3 categories, they have their own signs. بهذه العلامات يحصل التمييز بينهما. Through these signs, we are able to distinguish between them. These are the signs which help you distinguish between them. So the author, you would find that he hasn't given you these definitions. كلمة تدل, كلمة تدل. Because these definitions, they help you identify and distinguish these 3. You can distinguish something through the definitions. You can see the definitions are different. But for a student who is in the beginning stage, these definitions maybe they can be confusing, which is why the author has given us a different method of distinguishing between these three. And these method of distinguishing are these signs that he's going to mention. These signs that he's going to mention. المؤلف ذكر أسهل العلامات مراعاة لمستوى الكتاب. And the author here, he has chosen the simplest and the easiest sign because he has taken into consideration the level of the book. علامات الاسم. What are the علامات of the اسم? The author, he mentioned, and this is the متن. فالاسم يعرف بالخفض والتنوين ودخول الألف واللام وحروف الخفض وهي من وإلى وعن وعلى وفي ورب والباء والكاف واللام وحروف القسم وهي الواو والباء والتاء. So he's mentioned signs of the علامات الاسم. He's mentioned signs of the علامات الاسم. In total, there's 4 signs that he's mentioned. So he said the noun is known or distinguished through al-khafd, that's 1. Tanween is 2. Dukhul al-alif wal-lam, that's 3. Wa huruf al-khafd, that's 4. He's mentioned 4. And there's a tanbih here, point of caution. Khafd, he uses the term khafd. Khafd wal-jar bima'nan wahid. The term khafd and the term jar, they refer to the exact same thing. Al-khafd, this is the terminology used by the madrasa of Al-Kufa, and al-jar is the term used by the madrasa of Al-Basra. So we're going to learn, inshallah, down the line that there's 2 main schools when it comes to the Arabic language, Nahu and Sarf in particular. 2 main schools, the madrasa of Al-Kufa and the madrasa of Ahl Basra. The main imam of the madrasa of Al-Basra is Sibawayh, and the main imam of the madrasa of Al-Kufa is Al-Kisai. 2 main madrasas. So this are the term khafd is the term used by Ahl Kufa, jar is the term used by Ahl Basra. They mean the exact same thing. So when we say khafd in this book, we're actually speaking about jar. Maybe you're more comfortable using jar than khafd. So just understand that. So فالاسم يعرف بالجر والتنوين دخول الألف واللام وحروف الجر. What are the حروف الجر? He's mentioned حروف الجر. These are the حروف الجر. And then he said the حروف القسم, the particles that are used to bear oath, they are also types of huruf al-jar, and they are al-waw, al-ba, wa-ta. These 3 are also considered to be huruf al-jar. So all in all, he's mentioned 4 signs for the alamat al-ism, and these are physical signs that you look for when you're reading, when you're speaking, to identify that this is a noun. طيب. ذكر المؤلف 4 علامات للاسم. The author mentioned 4 signs of the ism. علامتان في أوله وعلامتان في آخره. 2 of these 4 come at the beginning of the noun. They precede the noun, and 2 come after it. They follow on from the noun. So you look for these 2 signs before the noun and these 2 signs after the noun. We're going to explain them in this order, inshallah. The first one that he mentioned, dukhul al-alif wal-lam, the definite article al. Example, al-qamar ash-shams. So I know al-qamar, the word qamarun is a noun because it has al affixed to it. I know shams is a noun because it has al affixed to it. And this is a sign that is prefixed. It comes before the word. At-tanween, this is a sign that comes at the end. Masjidun, masjidin, masjidan. So the same word with different tanweens. There's 3 tanweens in total. Dhammatain, kasratain, fathatain. Any word that ends with tanween, this nonation, which is 3 types, fathatain, kasratain, dhammatain, as we mentioned, this shows you that this word is a noun. So 2 easy signs. Next one is huruf al-khafd. Huruf al-khafd is huruf al-jar. If you see a word preceded by a harf jar, then you know that the following word is a noun. Sallamtu ala Zaydin. Zaydin is a noun. How do I know it's a ism? Because it has a harf jar preceding it. Sallaytu fi masjidin. Masjidin is a noun. Why? Because it has fi preceding it. Another sign is it has tanween. This one also has tanween, which we mentioned there. So that's 3 so far. Al-khafd is number 4. Khafd is al-jar. So some people might get confused between these 2. Huruf al-khafd, here the sign is the harf itself. This harf preceding it indicates to you that the word here is a noun. How? Because of this harf. And khafd is when a harf jar precedes a noun, it has an effect on the noun. What effect does it have on the noun? It makes it majroor. So the case ending is what is being referred to here as al-khafd. This case, which they refer to as being the genitive case. The genitive case itself the word becoming majroor and accepting the effect of the harf jar on it and ending with a kasra, kasratain, or whatever endings it ends with, showing that it's majroor now, this is a sign. Because the other types are never going to be majroor. So majroor, al-khafd, this case ending is specific to the noun. So if you see a majroor word, someone says this word is majroor, you know that word that he's referring to is a noun. An example, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, we have Ismi, Lahi, Rahmani, Rahim. We have Ismi is majroor. Why is it majroor? Because of the ba. Because of the ba. So harf jar has preceded it, is caused it to be majroor. So we know ism is majroor because of harf jar and because it's majroor. Allahi is majroor. Why is Allahi majroor? Because it's mudaf ilayhi. Mudaf ilayhi. Ismullahi. Mudaf ilayhi. So this is made majroor because it's mudaf ilayhi. It has a kasra. How do we know it's ism? Because it's majroor. Khafd. It's in this case of being majroor. Ar-Rahmani is majroor, and it's majroor because it's describing Allah. Na'at man'ut. Na'at follows the same i'rab as the man'ut. Okay, so this is also a na'at as well. Okay, so we have three words which are majroor here. When I say three, Rahim is the same as Ar-Rahman. Three words which are majroor, but the reason for them or the cause for them being majroor is different. This one's majroor because it's preceded by harf jar. This is majroor because it's mudaf ilayhi. This is majroor because it's na'at. So the words themselves becoming majroor, this is the sign of it being an ism. So here we have اجتمع فيها أسباب الخفض الثلاثة. There's only three causes of khafd, and all three causes of khafd have been mentioned here. A noun in the Arabic language will become majroor due to one of three causes. Either it's preceded by harf jar, or it's mudaf ilayhi, or it's a tabi', a follower of something which is majroor, either na'at, badal, and so on. All of these things have been covered in Medina books, right? Which is why we're moving a bit fast. Okay. اجتمع فيها أسباب الخفض الثلاثة. All three causes of khafd have been combined in this ayah. This ayah combines all of the three possible reasons for a word being majroor. وحروف الخفض واحد من الثلاثة. And حروف الخفض is just one of the three. So حروف الخفض, this is just one of the three. When we say khafd, it includes all three, and this is it accepting those causes of a word being makhfud, if that makes sense, inshallah. So we have three signs. Two we're looking for before the noun, and two we're looking for after. This comes before, this comes after, this comes before, this comes after. This is at the end. You look at the end to determine the i'rab of a word, right? فائدة, benefit. عدد حروف الجر في اللغة العربية 21 حرفا. There are 21 حروف jar in the Arabic language. This is a benefit. There's only 21 حروف الجر in the Arabic language. They debate whether it's 20 or 21, but we've mentioned all 21. So there's 11 which were mentioned by the author. There's 11 plus these ones which were not mentioned. حتى, لعل, عدا, خلا, حاشا, متى, مذ, منذ, كي, and لولا. There's 21 حروف الجر in the Arabic language. Okay, that's a benefit. حروف القسم تستعمل في القسم. The حروف القسم, the حروف which are used to bear oath, they are used for bearing oath or swearing. وهي من جملة حروف الخفض, and they are part of حروف الجر. Examples: والله, wow, والله, لن يفلح قوم ولو أمرهم امرأة. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentions لن يفلح قوم. This is part of the hadith, that a people who appoint a woman over them as a leader will never be successful. So because the Prophet is a Sadiq al-Masduq, the one who is truthful in his speech, we can say Wallahi lan yufliha, by Allah, people who appoint a woman as their leader will never be successful. So the point is, wow, this wow is used to bear oath. Allahi, lafz al-jalala is majroor. What's caused it to become majroor? Wow al-qasam. So this is a harf jar. Ba billahi la ashrabu al-khamr. Ba has caused lafz al-jalala to become majroor. Tallahi, ta. So حروف القسم وهي الواو والباء والتاء. So the point is just to give examples of the three حروف الجر. Question related to this particular matter is: provide one example sentence in which three of the signs of a noun are combined in a single word. Provide a sentence. In this sentence you're going to have a noun, And that noun is identified as being a noun because there's 3 signs which are combined. Remember here we said ismi, I said to you ismi, I know it's a noun. How do I know it's a noun? Because it's preceded by harf jar and it's also majroor. So there's 2 signs combined there. You need to provide an example of a sentence where there's a noun and it has 3 signs combined. If you look at these words, some of them have 3 signs combined already, but you need to provide your own example, inshallah. That's the 5th and last question. So all of these questions, remember, you're going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and provide the answers. Okay, that's alamat al-ism. Alamat al-ism, we've mentioned there are 3. دخول ألف ولام التنوين حروف الخفض الخفض. Secondly, علامات الفعل, the signs of the fi'l. How do we distinguish that a word is a fi'l? The author he says والفعل يعرف بقد والسين وسوف وتاء التأنيث الساكنة. He mentions that the fi'l is identified by one of these 4 signs which he has mentioned. قد, سين, سوف, تاء التأنيث الساكنة. From these 4 signs, we're going to categorize the signs of the fi'l into 3. You're going to find a sign which is specific to the madi, such as the ta'u ta'nith as-sakina. We're going to find a sign which is specific to the mudari', sin and sofa. And we have a sign which is shed, and it's not specific to a particular type of verb. So, al-fi'lu thalathatu anwa'. Firstly, we need to understand that verbs are 3 types, which we should already know. ماضي مضارع أمر فعل ماضي فعل مضارع فعل أمر. And because the verbs are of 3 types, لذلك علامات الأفعال فيها تفصيل. This is why we have to break down the signs of the fi'l, because they are different types, not like the ism. Ism is just one type of ism. We know there's one type of ism, but because these are 3 types, the signs will vary. So if you understand this categorization, it will be very helpful. علامات الأفعال نوعان. The signs of the af'al, the verbs, are 2 types. علامات خاصة. These are specific signs as in for the madi, specific signs for the mudari, specific signs for the amr. And then we have علامات مشتركة. These are shared signs which are perhaps for the madi and the mudari, for the mudari and the amr, or for all of them. Okay, let's begin with علامات خاصة, signs which are specific to each one individually. Madi has 2 specific signs. Ta al-fa'il. Ta al-fa'il is the ta that comes at the end of the madi. ذهبت, ذهبتي, ذهبت, ذهبتما, ذهبتم, ذهبتن. Any of those tas that you find at the end of a fi'l, you know that this is fi'l madi. Someone says استخرجت, استخرجت, or تخرجت, تخرجت, تخرجتما. You know that this is madi. How? Because of ta'ul fa'il. And ta'ul fa'il comes in these different forms. The second specific sign, which is the one that the author mentions, is ta' at-ta'nith as-sakina, like ذهبت, she went. قالت, she said. خرجت, she left. That ta'nith as-sakina. So he mentions وَالْفِعْلُ يُعْرَفُ بِقَدْ وَالسِّينُ وَسَوْفَ وَتَاء التَّأْنِيثِ السَّاكِنَةِ. This is the one that he's speaking about. So this is a sign from the alamat khasa, and it's khasa to the madi, ta'u ta'nith as-sakina. The second alamat khasa is that which relates to the mudari'. The mudari' one, it has many specific signs, many. So all of the nawasib, the particles which make the fi'l mudari' mansub, will only precede a mudari' verb. This is going to come inshallah in more detail. Jawazim, those particles which make the fi'l majzoom, only precede the fi'l mudari', because this doesn't become mansub or majzoom. This doesn't become mansub majzoom. This is specific to this. Mansub and majzoom particles for the fi'l will only precede a mudari'. So if you see any of them, such as lam, and there's more, or any of the jawazim such as lan or more, then you know this is specific to the mudari'. Another specific sign for the mudari' is huruf al-istiqbal, those particles which indicate future tense. And he's mentioned as-sin wa sofa. Sin and sofa will only come before a fi'l mudari', like sa أذهب إلى البيت, I will go to the house. سوف أذهب إلى البيت, I will go to the house. Even though both of them indicate future tense, sin indicates the near future, this is the distant future. So سأذهب and سوف أذهب, this means I will do both of them in the future, but سأذهب is the near future, سوف أذهب is the further or distant future. Okay, so we've covered 3 now. We know this one is specific to the Madi, this one specific to the Mudari. Then he's mentioned this one, qad. We'll see that qad, it comes here, over here somewhere. But let's finish this categorization because we're trying to have a full picture of the signs. So specific to Madi, only 2. Specific to Mudari, there's many. We've categorized into these 3 categories. Al-Amr, he hasn't mentioned any signs for the Amr. But the sign for the Amr is alama murakkaba. Alama murakkaba is a compound sign made up of 2 parts. It has to be this plus this equals a sign for the Amr. If you just have this by itself or this by itself, it's not a sign. It has to be together. It's a compound sign. What's the 2 parts? Dalalatuhu ala talab. The word has to indicate some sort of request. Amr is a request. You're telling someone to do something, right? So it has to include the meaning of requesting plus قبول ياء المخاطبة, and it has to accept ياء المخاطبة. ياء المخاطبة is this ya that comes in some of the af'al when you're addressing a female. In the mudari specifically and the amr, you find the ya مخاطبة. Okay, so it's a compound sign. دلالته على الطلب, it has to indicate a request plus accepting ya المخاطبة. So an example is uskut. Uskut is a fi'l amr. Why is uskut a fi'l amr? Yani keep quiet, be quiet. This is an amr. Why? Because it has talab, indicates a request. Does it accept ya al-mu'annath al-mukhataba? Let's see. Uskuti. Yes, it accepts it. So yes, this is a fi'l. This is a fi'l amr. Why? Because it indicates talab and it accepts ya al-mu'annath al-mukhataba if it's attached. Okay, let's see if the conditions, these 2 conditions are not met. Yani there's a case where there's a word that indicates talab, but it doesn't accept ya mu'annath al-mukhataba. Like this. Sah. Sah is a ism fi'l amr. We've studied this in Medina book 3, I believe. It means uskut. It has the same meaning as uskut. So it carries the request of telling someone to be quiet. Be quiet. Sah means be quiet. Does it accept ya al-mu'annath al-mukhataba? No, because asma'ul af'al, they don't accept dhama'ir. Not ya al-mukhatab or any other dhamir. So يدل على الطلب لكنه لا يقبل ياء المؤنث المخاطبة. Hence we've put a cross. This is not amr. Why? Because it's only accepting one of the 2 parts. This is a compounded sign. It has to accept both parts. Okay. The next example is sakata yaskutu. Sakata yaskutu. Does it indicate talab? He kept quiet. He is keeping quiet. This is madi. This is mudari. No, there's no talab. There's no talab. This one, it doesn't accept ya al-mu'annath al-mukhataba. However, the mudari does accept ya al-mu'annath al-mukhataba. Taskutin. You are keeping quiet. When I say you are keeping quiet, is there a request in that? No, there's no request. So this one does accept ya al-mu'annath al-mukhataba, but there's no request. Hence, it doesn't fall under the category of al-amr. It's not an amr. So now we are able to identify madi. Apply these signs, then you know it's madi. Mudari, apply these signs, you know this is mudari. Apply this sign to a word and you know it's amr. So these are alamat khassa. Let's look at the alamat mushtaraka, the shared signs. Qad. Qad is the one that he mentioned here, right? Qad. So qad is a shared sign. You see it before madi and you also see it before al-mudari. If you see qad, you know that the word that comes after is either madi or mudari. Ya al-mukhatabah. Ya al-mukhatabah, which we spoke about here briefly. You find it in the mudari and you also find it in the amr. You find it in the mudari, you find it in the amr. Waw al-jama'ah is found in all cases. So dhahabu, yadhhabun, idhhabu. Idhhabu fi'l amr. Yadhhabun is mudari. Dhahabu is madi. So it comes in all 3 cases. So the shared signs, you find some which are found in two Madi and Mudari and Amr, or all 3. طيب. So these are the signs regarding the af'al. Then the final one is harf. Alamatul harf. What's the sign of a harf? The author, he says, وَالْحَرْفُ مَا لَا يَصْلُحُ مَعَهُ دَلِيلُ الْإِسْمِ وَلَا دَلِيلُ الْفِعْلِ. The harf, the particle, is that which cannot accept any of the signs of the ism nor the signs of the fi'l. So this is why it was mentioned last. Once you've identified all of the signs of the ism and all of the signs of the fi'l, and you've applied it to a word and it doesn't accept it, that's when you can conclude that this is a harf. So the harf is something which does not accept the signs of the ism nor the signs of the fi'l. يتميز الحرف عن الاسم والفعل بأن لا يقبل أشياء من علاماتها. This is the distinguishing sign of the harf. It not accepting the signs of the ism nor the signs of the fi'l. They like to give the example of jim, ha and kha. Maybe if I start like this. So we have these three shapes. These three shapes are identical. One of them is a ism, one of them is a fi'l, one of them is a harf. At the moment, I can't distinguish between them. I can't distinguish between any of them. This is why the author has given you physical signs. Instead of you going by the definitions may be something which is difficult for a beginner. So he's given you physical signs. He's told you, if you see this sign, these particular signs, then you can say this word is an ism. A dot in the middle, this indicates a ism. In this case, this is a jim. And then if you see these signs, which come like this on top of the thing, this is a kha, but let's say this is the fi'l. And then you see one which does not accept, it doesn't accept the signs of the ism, nor does it accept the signs of the fi'l. It doesn't accept it, so let's rub it off. Then you know that this is a harf. So the sign of a harf is lack of, the absence of any signs. Just as the ha is distinguished from the jim and the kha because of lack of a dot, likewise the harf does not have any sign, or the lack of signs is the distinguishing factor, making it separate from the ism and the fi'l. With this, we come to the ending of the lesson. Barakallahu fikum. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.